Emojis didn't start with your phone. They started with cavemen. 30,000 years ago, deep in the caves of Lascaux, France, early humans did something revolutionary. They didn't just hunt, eat, survive. They communicated. But not with words, with symbols. A handprint here, a charging bison there, even a smiling face. These pieces transcended mere art. They represented humanity's earliest emojis, small yet impactful expressions of meaning, carved in stone.
Fast forward to 3000 BC. Along the winding Nile, the Egyptians didn't just write, they painted power. A single hieroglyph could whisper joy with a dancing figure, scream danger with a coiled serpent, or capture eternity in the loop of an ankh. These weren't mere marks. They were magic. Priests chiseled them into temple walls, believing the symbols themselves held divine energy. And in a way, they were right. Meanwhile, across the world in Shang Dynasty China, oracle bones cracked under fire, their spiderweb fractures interpreted as messages from the gods, marks uncannily resembling modern emoji. Some even looked like tiny faces, winking, frowning, as if ancient shamans had predicted texting millennia early. But why did these symbols dominate civilizations? Why did a Mesopotamian merchant scrawl a star to mean heaven, or a Mayan scribe carve a jaguar for war? The answer's etched in our minds. Symbols stick. They leap over language barriers. No translation needed, just a heartbeat of recognition. A child understands a smiley face before they read. A traveler points to a flame and finds shelter. Instant, universal, and most importantly, human. Because long before words, before empires, we were all speaking the same silent language. Think about it. When you send a heart emoji, you're doing the exact same thing as an Egyptian scribe carving an ankh for love. The medium changed. The human brain didn't.
But then, the world fell in love with words. Alphabets unspooled like rivers. Greek, Roman, Arabic, each letter a soldier in the march of progress. Paragraphs marched across parchments, then printing presses, then newspapers. Symbols? They were pushed to the margins, reduced to footnotes in holy books, or hidden in alchemist codes. For centuries, the art of speaking in pictures faded, until, in the 19th century, an age of steam, of wires, of rebellion. And in the chaos of progress, one inventor stared at his machine and saw the future, not in words, but in pulses. The telegraph, a beast of brass and lightning. It could send a message across continents in minutes, but it had no voice, no face, no way to say "just joking" after a clumsy phrase. So this inventor, maybe in a moment of frustration, maybe genius, did something radical. He didn't write a word. He typed a symbol, a colon, a dash, a parenthesis. And with that, the silent language of our ancestors roared back to life. Suddenly, a flick of the wrist could paint a smirk across an ocean. A semicolon, wink. The machine that was built for cold, hard facts became a canvas for human mischief. But this was just the beginning. Because the telegraph symbols were still prisoners of the alphabet, shackled to punctuation marks. The true revolution? It would take a storm of pixels and a mistake in a Tokyo weather app to unleash the emoji age.
1844. The world held its breath as the first telegraph message crackled to life. What hath God wrought? Flashing from Washington to Baltimore in seconds. The telegraph didn't just shatter distance. It shattered the very idea of time. Words that once took weeks to cross oceans now raced along wires at the speed of lightning. But with this miracle came a problem. The telegraph was ruthlessly efficient. No faces, no voices, just cold-coded beeps. A love letter reduced to dots and dashes, a joke stripped of its laughter. How could you whisper, "I miss you," or growl, This is war. When every message sounded like a machine's monotone scream, the answer lurked in the shadows of the keys. In 1857, a Philadelphia lawyer named Ambrose Bierce proposed something radical: punctuate emotion. Decades later, a mischievous telegrapher typed not as a mistake, but as a wink in the dark, the first true emoticon. These weren't just keystrokes. They were humanity punching through the machine, a secret handshake across continents, because even in an age of steam and steel, we refuse to let our hearts be translated into cold, dead code.
Yes, sarcasm. Even 150 years ago, people needed a way to say, just kidding. But it wasn't until 1982 that emoticons exploded, thanks to a computer scientist who typed this :right parenthesis.
He claimed it was a joke, but really, he just hacked human communication forever. Yet these were still just punctuation marks. The true Emoji Revolution? It began in Japan with a mistake. In the year 1999, Japan's biggest mobile carrier, Docomo, had a problem. Their weather app was a disaster. Users kept misreading the tiny sunny icon as brothel. The solution? A 12 by 12 pixel heart. Simple, clear, and the first true emoji was born. But here's the twist. Emojis weren't meant to go global. They were a hack for Japanese keyboards, yet within years they spread like a digital virus. Why? Because deep down we crave symbols, and Silicon Valley was watching. When Apple added emojis to the iPhone, they hid them. To unlock them, you had to download a Japanese app. It was an accident that changed everything. But with great power comes great lawsuits. In 2015, a teen was arrested for sending a gun emoji. In France, an ex-husband sued over his wife's winky face. Suddenly, the world realized emojis aren't just fun, they're evidence. The scary thing? Emojis are rewriting language. A study found Gen Z now prefers over LOL. Words are optional now. The emoji wars began. Why was the cheeseburger built wrong? Why did the peach become not a peach? Behind every tiny icon, a battle over meaning, culture, even politics. Today we send 6 billion emojis daily. But what's next? Brainwave-activated symbols? Smello emojis? Some say we'll return to pure symbols, a full-circle journey back to the caves. Emojis aren't just on our phones, they're in us. A primal need to scream, laugh, love, without words. So next time you tap that, remember, you're not just texting, you're carving on the digital cave wall of history. Want more hidden histories? Smash that like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, what's the weirdest emoji you've ever used? See you in the next untold story.